Last year was obviously very rough financially for a lot of people. If you lost your job or weren't able to work for a period of time, it might have been difficult to even pay your rent. A lot of people lost a lot financially, but some people did quite well. We've talked previously about how many billionaires did in 2020, but there are other people not quite at that level of financial success. For instance, Nancy Pelosi did okay. Her wealth grew $16.7 million through the course of 2020. The combined net worth of Nancy Pelosi and her husband, Paul. Sludge estimates that her 2020 net worth was $190.9 million. That was done by calculating the mean of the minimum and maximum reported values of their total disclosed assets. Their estimated net worth jumped by 16.2% in 2020. And we can bring up a chart showing its growth over time. Now, of course, as always, these are estimates of net worth. It is possible, maybe even likely, that it's an overestimate, but clearly they both did well in 2020 and overall are doing quite fine. And I understand, Jordan, this is hardly the first time we've talked about the fact that our representatives tend to be quite wealthy, but it is still shocking to me that we would choose a representative who financially has as little in common with us as like a random animal in the forest. Like it's that level of disconnect. She is shockingly wealthy. Even I knew that she was wealthy. I had no idea that she had this much money though.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to, and I saw people in the chat just mention this, but I'm thinking back to the middle of a pandemic and lockdown when everyone is struggling. Millions of people have lost their jobs. People aren't getting paid. A very meager response from Congress in terms of a stimulus check. And she does an interview with James Corden in front of like a really expensive stainless steel, several $1,000 fridge, and opens her freezer and it's full of, like $12 or $13 pints of ice cream. And people are like, wow, that's really out of touch. And all of these like yes queen liberals were like, she's just doing self-care. She's allowed to have a little bit of a treat. She works hard. Little did they know, and not that they would care in the end, but like this is somebody who is one of the richest members of Congress and who has time and time again blocked progressive reforms, even in that moment, blocked a paycheck guarantee from the Congressional Progressive Caucus. So things that would have helped the material conditions of workers around the country, she blocked. And just as we saw recently, came out of left field and all of a sudden was like, no, we can't cancel student loan debt because her extremely wealthy campaign donors told her this is what the stance that you should take. This is not somebody who advocates for your best interest, for the interests of the people watching, for the interests of people working in this country, for anybody. She works on behalf of corporate interests. That's it, plain and simple. And that's why she has gotten so unbelievably wealthy at her time in Congress, where she's not paid a lot relative to any other executive position in this country.
Yeah, 100%. I looked it up, by the way. It was a $24,000 fridge, which like for a 5-star restaurant, maybe. I don't even think then.
It's more than many people's cars for a fridge.
And the ice cream is $12 a pint. How good could it possibly be? I'm a Ben and Jerry's man. I think they're a little bit expensive, $5, $4, something like that. I don't think they're twice as good. I just don't think it. I can't accept it. You got something that can beat Netflix and chilled? I don't think so. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about the Pelosi. So much of their money is tied up in real estate. So, as we're in a real estate crisis, I'm sure that they're going to be super ready to radically reconfigure all of that. Let's see, they also have a vineyard in Napa from which they earn up to $1 million annually from grape sales. So, regular people. The husband also, Paul Pelosi, frequent trader of corporate stocks. Among his top holdings in 2020 were shares worth up to $25 million apiece in Apple, Amazon, and Visa, $5 million apiece in Comcast, Walt Disney, Square, Salesforce, PayPal, and CrowdStrike. So again, when so much of your wealth is bound up in things like real estate in these massive corporations, it's so weird that they don't really want to rock the boat. And yet, Jordan, we regularly send people, not necessarily that are as wealthy as Nancy Pelosi, but people who are, again, very disconnected from the concerns of regular people. We send them to office over and over and over again. People like Joe Manchin, who used to be on corporate boards and all that. like when we have someone like a Cori Bush, it's shocking because for once we've chosen someone sort of like us. Why do we allow it? Why do we send people so insulated from the concerns of real working people and then get kind of shocked that in office they're not actually they're not working for us? It sickens me that they're so successful that they can figure out an advertising strategy or a PR strategy or a philosophical and ideological strategy that gets people to not question how someone worth a couple $100 million could possibly represent them.
I mean, a good example of why that happens just took place in Ohio in the 11th district. Nina Turner was running on a platform that centered workers and centered the average American. And after pulling ahead and looking like she was going to coast to victory, a Democratic super PAC got involved, spent a couple of them spent in total a couple $1 million, most of which attacked Nina Turner, and they took money from Republican billionaires and corporate interests to attack Nina Turner. And after 4 years of bemoaning anybody who supported Trump, Trump's friends were some of the people that funded this effort, and it was radio silence from Democrats because they don't actually care. That's all kayfabe. That is wrestling. They want you to be focused on the Republicans and not look at what they're doing. But in the end, when it comes down to a decision between someone who's going to help further corporate interests or someone who's going to advocate on your behalf, they will use all their tools at their disposal, even working with Republicans, to keep someone who's working on behalf of your interests at bay. And that's what they did with Nina Turner.
Yeah, it's just an investment, and it'll definitely pay off. Yeah, they're gonna make those millions back many times over.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.